Welcome to our 2021-2022 Comprehensive ESOL Overview. Please take a moment to review the 5 learning objectives for today's learning session. We will begin today with Objective 1, to understand who English learners are and how they enter the ESOL program. Who is an EL? Any student who has indicated a language other than English on an original home language survey and has been screened and qualified for the ESOL program using the WIDA or English Language Proficiency Screener, or any student who transfers from another state with records that indicate language services were currently provided.
This table explains how ESOL records are obtained for potential ESOL students. If you look at the first column, it's for a student enrolling for the first time in a U.S. school. 1, the registrar will administer the initial or original home language survey. 2, if a language other than English is indicated for any of the 3 state-required questions, the student is determined to be a potential English learner. 3rd, the ESOL teacher will administer the grade level appropriate WIDA screener. And 4th, the ESOL teacher will follow the WIDA screener eligibility criteria to determine whether they qualify or do not qualify using the flowcharts. In the middle column, you see if a student is transferring from another Georgia school, an in-state transfer. Number 1, the registrar and ESOL teacher will identify the student as an English learner based on transferring records. 2, the registrar and ESOL teacher will check the student's previous enrollment in GUIDE and SLDS. And 3rd, the registrar and ESOL teacher make every effort possible to obtain prior EL records and identify EL status within 30 days of enrollment. The final column is if a student has enrolled in a U.S. school from another state, an out-of-state transfer. Number 1, the registrar and ESOL teacher will identify the student as an English learner based on transferring records. 2, the registrar will contact the previous school and ask for the original home language survey, any screening documents, English language proficiency or ELP testing results. 3rd, the registrar and the ESOL teacher make every effort possible to obtain prior EL records to determine EL status within 30 days of enrollment. It is important to remember that the state of Georgia now requires a one-time original home language survey for each student. This is no longer a yearly document.
Moving on to Objective 2, to provide and describe the WIDA can-do descriptors, name charts, and key uses. For a comprehensive overview, WIDA created this image to help us understand the purpose of the ELD standards and how they relate to individualized EL instruction in the content areas. The blue in the infographic represents the function of English language development, or ELD standards. The ELD standards statements provide educators with a framework and a connection between language development and academic content area learning within 5 clear standards. Please take a moment to read over the ELD standards. These 5 standards flow into the K-12 classroom for all of our ELs learning content-specific language. Returning to the infographic, the green box overviews the key language uses that pertain to the 5 ELD standards. WIDA defines 4 key language uses across the disciplines: to recount, explain, argue, and discuss. These 4 key uses are essential to student learning within the ELD standards. Next, we move to the pink box, language expectations. Language expectations are goals for content-driven language instruction. It is important to address both interpretive and expressive language functions in the classroom. Interpretive language includes listening, reading, and viewing content information, and this is often naturally done in the classroom. Expressive language includes speaking, writing, and representing within the content areas. It is important to plan and provide expressive opportunities for both speaking and writing frequently in the classroom. The final center component of the infographic leads to WIDA's proficiency level descriptors, which are directly correlated to the WIDA can-do philosophy and descriptors. The can-do descriptors highlight what language learners can do at various stages of language development as they engage in the content areas. These charts allow educators to track students by their level of English language proficiency. The cluster shown here consists of grades 6 through 8, listening, speaking, and oral language. Here is an example of reading and writing. It is important to understand that even though students receive a proficiency composite score, analyzing each domain will allow you to see the student's strengths and/or weaknesses in order to better support them during instruction. The link provided on slide 11 will direct you to grade-specific can-do charts that correlate with both WIDA Screener and WIDA Access data in all 4 domains of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Teachers of ELs should expect to see these at your yearly TPC meetings in the fall.
Moving forward to Objective 3, to determine how to make instructional decisions using access scores. Access scores have many potential uses, from determining student placement to guiding the creation of new curricula. Access test scores work best as a way to aid decision-making when designing classroom instruction and assessment. Student access scores often highlight the domains teachers should focus on. This focus could pertain to areas of strength as well as areas that need growth. In addition, understanding the access scores relationship to the can-do descriptors allows teachers to scaffold using the next level up to continually support and challenge EL students. An effective collaboration between the content area teachers and the ESOL teacher is necessary to provide continuity in the use of access scores both in analysis and instruction. This sample student report provides an overview of how to read an individualized student report. In analyzing this report, what would you consider to be an area of strength for this student? What might be an area that needs growth? Based on this report, the student's strength in interpretive communication is in the area of listening, and the student's strength in expressive communication is in the area of writing. This analysis should lead to reading and speaking tasks to encourage growth in this area. Likely, this student will be most comfortable sharing written work in a group or classroom setting.
Objective 4. How to provide testing accommodations using TPCs. English learners who do not have a disability are expected to participate in classroom, formative, and summative academic assessments. Testing accommodations for EL students are designed to address unique linguistic needs. When appropriately assigned, testing accommodations offer an EL the opportunity to demonstrate knowledge in a content area, regardless of his or her level of English proficiency. Testing accommodations must not provide ELs an unfair advantage or disadvantage.
This slide shows the chart of allowable accommodations for English learners. The chart not only lists allowable testing accommodations for EL students, but also provides recommendations regarding the benefit of each accommodation based on individual access scores. These recommendations are based on a gradual release model. In general, as a student develops proficiency in the English language, the need for testing accommodations decreases. In the gradual release model, the TPC team removes accommodations and allows the student to demonstrate his learning. The goal is to allow students to perform at their greatest potential with as little support as possible. Students who become fully proficient in English will be able to participate in assessments without accommodations, just like their English-only peers. A gradual release model is based on the following considerations. 1. Accommodations are designed to give access, not advantage. 2. Accommodations should reflect individual student needs. 3. Accommodations are not intended to be provided indefinitely. And 4th, as English language proficiency levels increase, the need for testing accommodations decreases.
Look at this picture. What do you think it might be suggesting? The gradual release model encourages equity versus equality. Objective 5. How to create model performance indicators to ensure student success. MPI is an acronym for Model Performance Indicator and is a tool to guide teachers of ELs. MPIs utilize language functions alongside content standards and provide individualized support for instruction and classroom tasks. MPIs help ensure instruction is appropriate to the proficiency level of ELs. So a basic MPI consists of three distinct parts: the language function, the content standard, and the student support.
The language function describes how language is used by the student. This is accomplished by carefully selecting a verb that will support your language objective for the lesson. For example, will the student be expected to identify, list, compare, or verbally predict during the lesson? WIDA can-do name charts are an excellent tool to provide students with appropriate language functions specific to the proficiency level. The second element of an MPI is the grade level content standard that the teacher is using for general lesson planning. The final piece of an MPI is the student support that will be provided during classroom instruction. These student supports may be visual, graphic, or interactive, and are based on the concept of scaffolding new language concepts and supports. So let's put it all together using the MPI pattern. As you can see, this slide provides a template for easy use when creating MPIs in lesson planning.
This is an example of a content standard pulled from third grade standards using renewable and non-renewable materials. This student reflects a writing level of 2. The MPI is asking the student to list examples and provides the support of illustrated word banks. Notice this slide has the same standard addressed for a student with a writing level of 3. The verb is now distinguish between with the support of pictures or real life materials. MPIs are required for all ELs. However, they are a wonderful tool for all struggling learners. More information will be provided in EL classrooms during TPC meetings this fall, so look forward to more information about MPIs. This final slide has additional resources. So for more information, the following websites are provided, or you can contact your school's ESOL teacher. Thank you for attending this professional learning